Hey everybody, my name is Alex with Hake Hardware, and in this video we are going to go over how to get Prometheus monitoring set up for Autonomys, and this guide is specifically for non-clusters, so we're only really going to be focused on a node and a farmer. Now there are a few prerequisites, so one is that you should have Prometheus as a service running, and there's a guide that you can go to linked here, and this will get you set up with Prometheus as a service. And you should also have Grafana running. And I honestly recommend with Windows running as a service, there's a guide here on how to get it all set up. Both of these prerequisites are super easy. And then you should also have metrics exposed in your node and your farmer, and that's done with the --Prometheus -listen on. Node, we're going to be focusing on port 9080 and farmer 9081. So we're going to need, you never want to have the two ports the same. There'll be conflicting ports and it's not going to work. So let's jump into Windows actually, and I'll just show you real quick how everything is set up. So I have my node running here, and I have my farmer running here. And what we're going to do is just take a quick look at those commands. So I'm going to go into my Autonomous folder. We go into my farmer, and let's just bring up the farmer here, and you can see I have --Prometheus listen on listed right in here with everything else. And then it's going to be the same for my node. We'll just bring up my script here, and you can see Prometheus listen on is also in here. So you're just going to want to make sure that you have ports exposed. If you didn't and you add it, make sure, of course, you're going to have to restart your node and farmer so that they start exposing metrics. And the next thing is going to be updating your Prometheus.yaml. And if you went through the Prometheus as a service guide that I have, you're going to be going into the C drive, and then Prometheus folder, and then Prometheus.yaml. We'll right click that and do edit in Notepad. And you're going to want to go all the way to the bottom here and just click enter 2 times and copy from the guide and paste it in. So what we're doing here is we're adding a new job called Autonomous. We have a target localhost 9080. So if you remember, that's where our node was pointed to. And you can just put your host name here. For me, this is going to be Bob. And then this is also going to be Bob. And we have 9081, which is the farmer. And just do File, Save. Then you can close that out. You can close out that. And I'm just going to minimize these 2 screens. Down here in the search menu, you can see, if you already have searched for it, it's going to be up here, and you can just click it. But if you don't see it, you can do services.msc and hit enter. That's going to bring up your services so that you can restart Prometheus. And this should be super fresh in your mind if you just installed Prometheus as a service. You're going to scroll down, find Prometheus, and you're going to click restart. And what that's going to do is refresh the config file so that it now has those new targets in there. And to confirm that everything worked, we can bring up our browser and go to our localhost 9090, which is Prometheus Web Frontend. Go to Status and Targets. And we can see right now we have some unknowns. That's fine. We just restarted the service. It can take a little bit of time. If we click refresh, it's probably going to be okay. Okay. So we can see we now have 2 new targets that we're going to be scraping. Localhost 9081 and 9080. Of course, those correspond to the node and the farmer. So now we need to go into Grafana. If you use the Grafana as a service tutorial, you should be able to just go to localhost, whatever you put your port as, 3000 is the default, I do 9999. And you should have, if you did the Prometheus tutorial, you should have Prometheus already set up as a data source here. And we're going to do our first dashboard. So we'll go into the hamburger icon on the left here. Let me just maximize this whole thing. We'll do dashboards, new dashboard, import, and we're going to want to find the correct import here, which is going to be 2443. So this is a pre-built dashboard that a community member made, and it should load up most of the metrics that you need. So we'll click load. Actually, that is not the right one. I wonder why. 2443. Weird. Oh, 2433. I was like, thought I was going crazy here. Load. Okay, here we go. Subspace, dashboard. I usually do like, you can put a name if you want. You can actually, depending on how many nodes and farmers you have, you might want to create a dashboard for each one, or if you want to do a custom dashboard, you can just leave it as subspace, but in this case, I'll just put Bob, and then I'm going to keep it in the dashboards folder. I usually change the UID to just put my instance here, and then you're going to select your Prometheus data source, and then you'll just click import. And you can see there's a few things we're going to need to change here. But you can start to see already, you have peers listed here, you have peer-to-peer data, blocks imported, farmer connections, plotting. You can see it's fully plotted, so there's nothing to plot right now. That's why you see plotted is 181, not plotted is 0. You'll have some sector encode, download, plot, write times, auditing time, and then capacity. So we can see we have 1,800 pieces, which is probably like corresponds to like about 180 gigabytes. So you might have a lot more pieces than I do. But we can see there's no data in response here for the node connections. We can just click this, do edit. It's the way how I set the filters. So we did type, not group. So down here in the filters, we'll switch this to type and then click run query. And then just do save dashboard. Click that checkbox, click save, back to dashboard. Okay, that's working. Also, same with the farmer, we did type instead of group. So I'm going to go back up into edit. We're going to change this label filter to type, run query, save dashboard, save, back. And that's really it for getting this running. There's some other things here that sometimes I'll fix. This is typically only temporary where it'll show two synced peers. It's most likely because I restarted the service because I test these guides out before I do them. So the problem with this is that when you restart Prometheus and you have like the same node, it's going to think it's two separate instances and put two separate synced peers in here, and it just doubles up. But for you, there should probably only be just one. And that's it. So you got some metrics, and that way you'll be able to see, your different disks getting plotted. You'll be able to see, you can't really see anything for me right now because I have very small amount of space, so there's not a lot going on. And I typically move this down to like an hour. 6 hours is kind of a lot. You can see much more granular. You can see how I had it running, then I stopped it, and then I started running it again. That's why there's two of these. But if you change the hours, just click Save Dashboard again, click Update the default time range, then click Save. And that's it. So now you have monitoring set up, and you can monitor your farms and make sure everything is looking good. Hopefully you found this helpful. If you did, feel free to leave a like, and I'll see you in the next one.